lucky I have it. So lucky we have it. All right, cool. All right, so now we are live now on YouTube. That's fantastic. All right, here we go. Welcome everybody. Welcome on Facebook and YouTube. Today we're going to be talking about day number 3, which is about attraction and enrollment of vagus nerve clients. So this is really talking to people who are practitioners, who are in the health coaching space. I have a lot of experience. I have 6+ years experience doing this, and I've gotten so many questions about, Sterling, how do you do it? How do you have so many happy clients? How do you do such transformational work with clients all around the world with vagus nerve stimulation? And so I've just said, you know what? I'm going to just do a 5-day campaign and just get it out there, get the information out there so you guys can watch it and learn and help. Because, again, I can't do this all myself. There's how many billions of people on this planet that need help with their vagus nerve? Probably a lot of them. And I'm just one guy, so I can't do it all. But before we go into the actual content of the video, I always like to start us off with a beautiful simultaneous squeeze. So what is that? We're going to do a Valsalva squeeze. I posted about that today in the Facebook group, sort of the methodology of it. You're basically going to take a deep breath in, huge breath in. You're going to take an extra sip of air at the very top, and then you're going to hold that air in, and then you're going to squeeze, and then you're going to pretend like you're blowing out of a straw or you're exhaling into a balloon, and you're going to activate those core muscles that help you bear down like if you were trying to blow out really hard, but you kept the air in. I know, complicated, right? But if you need help with training, you can always pick up a normal balloon, or you can get a straw and start practicing. What's it like to blow? Or if you got the diaphragmatic breathing tool that we recommended 2 weeks ago, which you can get on Amazon for $25, you can train your diaphragm very well. And this stuff will make intuitive sense to you. But let's get into it. So here we go. In 3, 2, 1, deep breath in. Go now. Sip of air at the top. Hold it and squeeze. And slowly exhale out of your mouth. Beautiful. And return back to normal. So beautiful stuff. I hope you felt something on there. Let me know in the chat if you felt something, or if you didn't feel something, then it might mean the technique or the skill set needs to be worked on. It could also point to a few other things, that you don't have enough acetylcholine in your body right now. You may have a depletion of choline in your diet. That could contribute to you not feeling anything when you do that practice. But something to explore, something to think about. You should be getting a feeling from doing that practice for sure. Awesome. Charlene with a yes, and she's got the nice. I love that feeling. It's so good. So today the topic of discussion is still in line with what we've been covering for the last 2 days. This is day 3 of 5. We're just doing a live series of practitioner training, because I know a lot of you here in this Facebook group are not just here because you need help with your own vagus nerve. You have clients as well who need help with their vagus nerves, but you may not be completely familiar with this whole vagus nerve stimulation thing. And I'm here to tell you how just absolutely incredible, how transformational vagus nerve stimulation can be in the lives of your own clients. So today we're going to talk about how to discuss vagus nerve stimulation with existing clients, and then how to enroll them, how to persuade them or convince them in a way, or to lead them into incorporating vagus nerve safely into their own care. Because I'm certain that the difference between your clients now and the difference between your clients in 3 months who used vagus nerve stimulation is going to be worlds apart. And that can make a big difference for you, for your practice, for whatever you're doing. So yeah, anyway, but like I said earlier, even if you're not a practitioner, you'll still be able to benefit dramatically from today's call. So awesome. TK, you got an effect too. Great. I love it. So let's do, like I like to do, is just a quick recap for those who might have missed day 1 and missed day 2, so you can kind of keep up and stay on track. I have some notes here on my computer I'm going to read off. So on day 1, we covered just, the science of the market demand for vagus nerve specific interventions. We shared that the estimated vagus nerve related treatments, the amount of money spent per year is in the $300 billion range. So if you're like, I don't know if I could help anybody or make any money with helping people as a practitioner. Because, if you're a practitioner, let's be honest, you have to be able to make some money. Okay. Hopefully you're making, so hopefully something's going on there, or maybe you're all insurance covered. I don't know, but you should have something there. But it's basically billions, multiple billions of dollars a year are being spent on things related to a damaged or dysfunctional vagus nerve. The potential clients actively seeking care number in the order of about 14 million Americans. So there's 14 million people walking around just within the continental United States right now who are like, I need help, but they may not know it's their vagus nerve at this point in time. That's up to you to, again, attract or enroll or educate them on that. And then I shared as well the average avatar, the client avatar for people who are actively looking for that help, because we know, men typically don't like to ask for instructions when they're lost. And that's kind of true in the health world as well. So you'll typically see a lot fewer men reaching out for help with their vagus nerve. They're more attracted to like, how do I get 6-pack abs? How do I lose this belly gut thing? So you're typically going to find females between the ages of 45 to 65 years old looking for help because they're comfortable reaching out for help and saying, I admit that I need help. I need some assistance in this category. So if you have clients like that already, that's fantastic. And then on day two, that was just day one. We covered a lot in day one. Day two is how to design a vagus nerve stimulation protocol and service plans for clients. So actually how to help clients with this. We recommend that you stick to about 3 to 4 months of support for a client. And you don't want to do this in terms of a, hourly rate kind of thing, because the work that you're going to do with a client may take about 3 to 4 months for them to see the full benefits of vagus nerve stimulation. That's not to say that within the first week or 2 weeks, people can see drastic changes in their health. And I see that all the time with my clients. So just because I'm saying 3 months doesn't mean it takes 3 months to see incredible results. But if you really want to cement those habits around VNS, you want them to be thinking in longer term time windows for sure. Then as well, another big aspect of vagus nerve care is that the client must have a device in their own house. They have to have something physically shipped to them. Keeping vagus nerve stimulation devices at home and keeping it secret and close to the heart, like, these clients have to come to me to get VNS. It's like, that can cause some added stress that they don't need. So I recommend that if you're going to incorporate vagus nerve stimulation as a modality into your practitioner care, every client has to have their own device that they don't have to share with anybody. It's just theirs to keep and theirs alone. I even shared that in my coaching plan, if a client for some reason, if their vagus nerve stimulator breaks or they drop it or a dog eats the cable or whatever, I'll just ship a new one for free, completely at cost to us. So I kind of remove any of that anxiety that I might have from, what do I do if in month 2, if something happens to my vagus nerve stimulator? You don't want to create the conditions for that kind of stress, for sure. So yeah, make sure they have an at-home unit. You want to customize protocols as well based on their specific conditions. So if they have conditions of vagus nerve unhealth based on their pancreas or their spleen or their intestines, you want to identify a modality that can actually address organ-specific parasympathetic function. Ultrasound typically is going to be the best of the best there, but some of you may opt ultimately for just some form of electrical stimulation, and that's fine. It's not the best, but it's better than nothing, especially if your clients really do need it. Awesome. And then, preferences as well, ultrasound as opposed to electrical stimulation. That's just my take on that. So that's the summary of days 1 and day 2. All right. Like I said, we're going to cover a lot of stuff. So today we're going to talk about, and so great to see you guys all here. Love that we see so many people watching the replay. Shout out to my replay squad. So day 3 topic is going to be on attraction and enrollment. How do you broach the subject of the vagus nerve with clients? The main thing to know is that the vast majority of the people that are going to even hear about you, and my apologies, guys, it is hot as hell today. Is it hot where you are? If it's hot where you are, type hot in the chat, because I'm feeling it. I got lights on me. I got the AC on. We don't even have AC here up in Washington, but it's just air blowing over my face, which isn't great, but it's hot. It's hot. So my apologies. You're in the 80s. Okay. I'm in the 70s. And for me, this is like, it's like so hot, but whatever. It's all good. We'll make it through it. So for most of your clients that you're going to attract and enroll and all that stuff, they're probably going to be coming from social media, or they're going to be following you in some capacity. My recommendation is to do what I did. In the initial stages of growing the Facebook group, I would post pretty much daily on some unique benefit of vagus nerve stimulation for a subset of chronic inflammatory conditions. So you might have seen me post like, here's a study showing vagus nerve stimulation helps people with gastroparesis. Here's a study showing that vagus nerve stimulation helps people with brain fog. Here's a study that shows that vagus nerve stimulation helps with stroke, helps with ischemic heart damage, it helps with rehabilitation post-stroke. I mean, there are so many incredible published research data points out there that it's actually really easy to just post and kind of put your own unique spin on the latest news as it relates to the vagus nerve. There's probably weekly or even daily, sometimes of the year, where you're going to see a brand new post, a brand new article, or a brand new study published on the benefits of vagus nerve stimulation in managing chronic care cases. So I think from a content perspective, if you're thinking like, well, what kind of thing should I post to social media to get people excited about vagus nerve stimulation? And I would say first and foremost is just for you to be educated more on vagus nerve stimulation, is for you to read the latest studies and even older studies from the last 10 years, and then write a synopsis and then post that to your social media. People really do appreciate that because they start to get the sense that, okay, that the person posting it is understanding vagus nerve stimulation, and so they'll feel more comfortable when you bring that up with them at a later point in time in the process. So that's kind of the content engagement aspect of being a practitioner in the vagus nerve space, is posting about the vagus nerve. That's pretty self-explanatory, right? That makes sense. The next aspect of the attraction is that you want to, again, anybody who's going to work with you is going to want to feel a personalized connection with you specifically. And what that means is they want to feel like this is a person who gets me, and this is a person who's responsive to my questions and is responsive to my needs and unique set of conditions that you might have as a patient, that they might have as a patient. So it's really important to be comfortable with messaging people on Facebook or through whatever social media avenue you choose. So if you're on Instagram, is opening up your DMs, engaging with people, offering to send them like, hey, if I made a guidebook on how to do psoas muscle releases for better vagal nerve health, would you be interested in getting that document sent to you privately? And if they say yes, please, then send that information over. I've done a lot of great work by writing up, educational posts on a specialization that I know, like either on diet or neck strengthening or vagus nerve stimulation or mindset. Part of the attraction module for me is definitely Hour of Power, right? So I made a beautiful and free to get audio that you put on these headphones, and it, like, when people listen to it, they're like, oh my God, I feel so much hope. I feel so much better just by listening to this audio. If Sterling can give me something so powerful and he's willing to give it away for free, imagine what it would be like if I were in a coaching program with him. What more could there be? And there's definitely a lot more once you get past the enrollment stage of any of my programs, phase 1, phase 2, or phase 3. So as a practitioner, you also want to be thinking in terms of in that way, like, how do I give away some of my best stuff to people on the internet? Because look, if your business makes it or fails, at the end of the day, what I know at my heart is that I've helped thousands of people with their vagus nerve health. Like if Microsoft or Amazon or some big if Elon Musk personally gave me a phone call and said, Sterling, I want you to be head of our medical vagus nerve stimulation branch at SpaceX, you're going to be stimulating the vagus nerves of every astronaut and person that goes to Mars for the next 20 years. And you're going to be making $1 million per year doing it. As much as I want to say I would stick to doing this Facebook group, guys, I honestly would probably take that job. That would be a dream come true for me if Elon Musk was like, Sterling, you're now the vagus nerve guy. You're going to get our people to Mars. You're going to help us expand humanity in an incredible way and get to do your passion. I would definitely take that job for sure. But I would know that in my heart of hearts that in this Facebook group, I really truly helped tremendous number of people. And then even if I wasn't in private practice anymore, if I stopped taking on clients, that I know that the residuals from all that work, the hour of power, the red ball neck strengthening protocol that I've put out and used by tens of thousands of people, the free Vagus Cure website, which teaches people how to do electrical ear clip stimulation, all for free, all available pretty much forever as long as the internet exists. I'll know that I did my part for sure. So I want you to think in that way as a practitioner. How can you put out some of your best stuff, your best content, and how could you help someone who never, ever, ever raises their hand to work with you? How could you think of yourself as that kind of a coach? Because I guarantee you things will work out a lot better in the long run if you treat your relationship with your audience in that way. So I'm always down to like help people in more ways than they can even imagine that I could help them. So that's, I think, a good mindset to adopt as a practitioner or someone working in service to others, is to produce some of your best content and use that content and give it away for free to attract people who are interested. I've had many clients who actually ultimately did end up signing up with me from any one of my programs with ultrasound say to me like, Sterling, you know what? I honestly look, I'm skeptical, right? I don't want to sign up with anybody. I don't want to spend any money on any of this stuff. But they saw that the stuff that I gave away for free was so good. And I was so willing to just help anybody and everybody who raised their hand and said, hey, does the vagus nerve go down just your left side or is it your left and your right side? And you'll see me in the Facebook group responding and saying, here's a picture of the vagus nerve. It does go down your left side and your right side. I hope that helps, right? Just that I'm willing to help people to that degree does speak a lot to what's possible within a structured program. So again, if you really want to succeed, go out there and help people without any expectation of a financial reward, without any expectation that they're ever going to sign up with you. Because I know, like I said, there are tens of thousands of humans walking around this planet who've been positively touched and impacted by my work. And that means the world to me. That means more than any amount of money. So I would just, again, it's certainly going to work out for you in the long run, but be a producer of content that helps people practically on a day-to-day basis, and do that with the specialization of how does the vagus nerve play a role in diet and the gut microbiome and mindset and exercise. If you understand the vagus nerve as a specific regulating entity inside of the body, you can really help people, and you can identify some very novel approaches that you might not see given your, again, every practitioner probably has some amount of coaching or specialization that they've learned. Maybe you have a naturopathic certification and you learned a lot about diet or acupuncture or somatic releases. That's an amazing and unique special set of abilities. And when you add that unique dimension of how does the vagus nerve play a role in all of this, I guarantee you your brain is going to go like this, and you're going to see just an insane amount of connections between breathing and diet and exercise and mindset and immunity and trauma and intergenerational trauma, all this stuff, and empathy and compassion and sleep and like all this stuff, all very connected to the vagus nerve. So if you're a practitioner, if I could give you any advice, look into the vagus nerve more. Like really give yourself, set 30 days, set 60 days ahead. As a practitioner who may be a little bit new or maybe a little bit skeptical or squeamish about the vagus nerve, like, how do I really know that there's anything to this? Is Sterling just trying to scam me? Is he trying to sign me up from some multi-level marketing thing? Is that what's going on? No, the answer is no. I really have nothing to sell here. I don't even have a coaching program for practitioners, and I'm not going to certify you in a vagus nerve coaching perspective. That's something that we're working on right now in terms of certifications. So that's something in the future. But for right now, I was just I got so many questions from actual doctors and practitioners, how do you look at the vagus nerve, and how are you able to get such good results for your clients? And so I said, I'll just do the videos, and I'll talk honestly and openly and transparently about how I approach this stuff. So I hope that makes sense. That's my thinking about around the attraction content marketing category when it comes to running a successful practitioner program. So good. Then in terms of, so that's the attraction point. Then, you're going to invite people to raise their hand like, hey, would anybody like help implementing what I've just shared into their own care, right? So if you've done it enough and enough people see your content, they'll be like, vagus nerve stimulation checks this box, this box, this box, and this box, meaning it could help me with my brain fog. It could help me with my sleep. It could help me with my diet. It could help me with my depression. It could help me with my relationships. If you check so many of those boxes, and then you put out the question, hey, does anybody want help making this simple, clear-cut, and actionable? I'll reach out and send you a message and we can start that dialogue. You're going to get lots of people raising their hands and saying, yeah, this sounds amazing. Like I want to know more. So it's not super complex. It's just getting enough people to recognize the benefit of vagus nerve stimulation. And then at some point in that process, after a few months of posting, you say, hey, does anybody want help with this? Because I can make it really simple for you. And you're going to get people saying, I'm super down. I want to know more about this, right? I know lots of people watching that are watching live and who are here in the chat knows exactly what I'm talking about. That's the exact process I've used for years. And it's always served me well. And it also just, for me, it feels more good that way. I'm not doing aggressive sales techniques. I'm not pushy. I'm just like, hey, it's opt-in marketing. If you want to pursue more information or get more help, then the path is there for you to click and for you to follow. So it's basically permission-based marketing, essentially. Hey, would it be cool if I sent you the free guide on neck strengthening? Would you like that? Yes. Cool. Hey, by the way, I'm just curious, what was it about the neck stuff that attracted you to raise your hand and say, yeah? And they might say something like, well, I have really bad neck pain, and I was wondering if the neck pain is putting stress on my vagus nerve. And so that's why I'm kind of like continuing to come back for more. So yeah, as a practitioner, if you're in the vagus nerve world, it's really not that difficult. And I don't believe you have to have like some crazy marketing degree to succeed in the world of the vagus nerve. Many people know, look at me, I'm terrible at marketing. I suck. I would classify myself as almost antisocial in a sense. Like again, I'm not trying to play the diagnosis game or anything like that, but I could see if somebody said Sterling's kind of on the spectrum with people and he's like a little bit blunt and a little bit to the point. He's not as tactful as some of you might be. But certainly it hasn't seemed, it's probably held me back a little bit, but it's not been too bad. I'm still working, still doing fine. But I'm sure the vast majority of you watching, 99% of you watching, are probably have better people skills than I do. And I'm one of the top vagus nerve coaches in the world. So if you have any inkling better social skills than me, you're gonna do way better. And oftentimes, again, I'm a male. Men typically aren't as like nuanced with social interactions on the internet than women are. So if you're a female practitioner, you want to incorporate vagus nerve stimulation into your care plan with your clients, you're probably going to rock at this, right? I think women will be way better ultimately than even I will be at my best. So women, if you're interested, just again, I'm giving you my full vote of confidence that you're probably going to do a lot better than I am. Because again, I'm not a good marketer. I don't promote this stuff as much as I probably could. But hey, it still works. So you can still make it work. So the next thing, right? So now you've attracted people, you've got them raising their hands. The next step is enrollment, this is why probably I've succeeded where some, arguably some female, more feminine energies may not succeed. And that's on the enrollment process. This is where people go, ooh, oh my gosh, we're talking about money. We're talking about exchanging services and goods. Oh God, it's an uncomfortable conversation with me. And I'm sure many people will click off this video because, oh my gosh, you're talking about enrolling people. Does that mean you're selling something to them? Yeah, the answer is yeah. If we're talking practitioners, and we're talking about running a successful, long-standing, supportive, what is a business, really a service business in vagus nerve stimulation, where there are costs of goods, guys, come on. Vagus nerve stimulation technology doesn't cost $0. I wish. If it cost $0, then gosh, I would probably be eating food for free and everything like that. But we're just not there yet in our society. I think that in some time in the near future, when humanity can reach out into space and grab asteroids that have rare earth minerals worth trillions of dollars, and we can bring those successfully back to Earth, that, again, imagine $1 trillion of rare earth minerals and rare earth materials being hauled back from outer space, put on planet Earth to produce goods in mass quantities for everybody. I do believe that in our potentially in our lifetime, we'll have the amount of abundance that we can not even our wildest dreams can imagine. And everything will be free, and everybody will work with each other for free because we'll never have any scarcity, and everybody will eat and be good. I believe that day is coming soon, and we will usher that in the more we help each other. But right now, no. As a practitioner, you will have to enroll people in some form of service, and that will involve the exchange of energy. Maybe you call it money. I like to consider it an exchange of a commitment. This person's proving their commitment to you, and you're guaranteeing that I will not let you down. I will do everything in my power to make sure you get the results that we looked at from day one. Okay? So that's what the enrollment thing is. And I have a coach, love him to death, but he's so squeamish around the word sales. He's just like, I hate sounding salesy. And I'm like, who gives a shit? Like, either you sound salesy or you don't. Just don't be pushy. Don't be rude. Don't be an asshole. And if people see a tangible benefit to what you're doing, and they can see the tangible results that vagus nerve stimulation can produce in their life, then why wouldn't they say yes? People sign up for cruises to go to Alaska at the cost of $1,000 to $2,000 to $3,000 to $5,000 a piece. Nobody's salesy about that. It's just, hey, do you want to go on a big boat with a buffet and unlimited drinks for the next 10 days to go to Alaska and look at icebergs and shit like that? And people go, yeah, that sounds good. Here's my credit card, right? So I don't look at this whole enrollment of clients as anything that should be a squeamish subject. So, but like I said, again, this is probably where that unique, your weakness can sometimes be your greatest strength. So I can get on an enrollment call with someone and tell them up front, listen, I'm gonna ask you a couple questions, and I'm giving you an insight in kind of the strategy call process, which I'm gonna say at the very beginning, look, I'm gonna ask you some questions about your health. I'm gonna try to identify what could be a good strategy for you to implement, and I'm gonna tell you that strategy here over the phone. So I want you to take notes. And if part of that strategy may involve getting coaching and vagus nerve stimulation technology, I will let you know. And you have every right to say, you know what, thank you for the information, but I'm good. I'm going to walk. I'm not interested. I'm not ready at this time, and I'll think about it, or whatever. You can either say yes, maybe, or no. And ultimately, the conversation is going to either be a yes or really a no. No, not right now. And that's okay. And I even tell people on the phone, listen, I'm gonna describe some things about vagus nerve stimulation technology in terms of how we approach it. And at any point in the call, you can say, hey, you know what? Time out. Honestly, I don't like you. I think you're an asshole, and this call's over. And I tell people, prospects on the phone, I tell them that all the time in a joking way, of course, but I kind of joke about it, but I am serious. If they're like, you know what? Nope, not comfortable, done. We don't really run uncomfortable calls. And I actually, at one point in 2021, I was hiring out for some of these bigger sales roles, and I had to fire a couple of them because they were bringing in these weird, like, aggressive boiler sales techniques. And I was just like, I don't like the energy you guys are bringing to this. Like, you're making it so weird around sales, So I actually have fired people from my company for being weird on sales calls. I just think it's uncalled for. They're either going to sign up, they're ready for it, or they're not. Make sense? Good. So in terms of the sales process, the one that I find is really good is it's a two-part it's a two-part sales process. First thing you do, you offer a 10-minute free game plan call. You say, great, let's hop on like kind of a triage call. Let me just hear you out. What are your symptoms? What treatments have you tried? What's important for you to focus on right now? And if that aligns with what you're capable of doing in terms of the care, then you say, great, this sounds like a good fit for identifying a strategy, and I can help you do that on the next call. Then you schedule a 60-minute call, and on that call, that's when you have the bigger, fuller, more rich conversation where you identify, here's what the strategy will be, here's what we're going to use as far as the technology. You might be like, we're going to use ultrasound, or we're going to use ear clip stimulation with electrical stimulation in the ear. We're going to stimulate your vagus nerve, and we're going to get you the kind of results in your health that you've really not probably seen in your whole life. That's just how amazing vagus nerve stimulation technology is these days. That's how far it's come. So at that point in time, that person will say, you give them the price, you give them a rundown. They say, sure, I'm in. And best case scenario, they say, awesome, let's do it. How do we pay? And I recommend you offer like a payment plan or paid in full at a lesser price or whatever, however you want to deal with that. But, definitely work something out with a person that's compatible with their financial situation. And sometimes offer discounts, whatever you need to do in that situation. Because, if they really do have a tangible need and they're in a little bit of fear, you're not really helping them by letting them sell you on how they can't. I've had some people orbiting around me in the Facebook group for sometimes 1 to 2 years, where, 2 years ago, they needed vagus nerve stimulation then to halt some pretty chronic illness. But they waited. And I take responsibility for that, honestly, you guys. Like part of the burden of being on social media is that you obviously need to get out there and tell people that you have a service, but you can't do that every single day. And so it's always a balancing game between, hey guys, I have a program that can help people with their vagus nerve. Who wants to sign up or who wants to have a free call? I can do that a lot, but also that can turn people off a little bit too. So it's a careful balance. You just kind of have to figure that out yourself as you go. What's a good posting amount for your audience, particularly? That's why I find that like content marketing, giving away free guides that tell people like real insightful things is like a great strategy to let people know that you know what you're talking about. So that would be my recommendation there. But like I said, not helping someone, like if someone really has the means and the capability and the time to invest in coaching and to invest in vagus nerve stimulation, give them every opportunity to take that on. Let them do it. Be a leader in that process. Because like I said, I've had some clients who signed up 2 years after they knew they needed to sign up just because they waited too long. And, it's rarely ever good news. It's rarely ever like, yeah, I sat on my ass and I waited for 2 years watching you post content every day, telling people you have this great program, even watching testimonials of women just like me getting crazy great results with vagus nerve stimulation. And yet I still didn't click the button. I still didn't sign up. And in the meantime, I've been hospitalized multiple times and, they've lost a ton of their health in the 2 years that they waited, even though it was clear that they needed vagus nerve stimulation 2 years ago. So as a practitioner, you're going to want to, again, don't beat yourself up because you're not helping everybody on the planet. I certainly can't do that, right? There's probably, like I said, 14 million Americans right now actively seeking out care for a vagus nerve related issue that could be helped. I've only helped probably, the Facebook group itself is only 24,000 people. So that's kind of that's my reach as of today. A year ago, the Facebook group was 16,000 people. So you can see the impact and the growth of some of these projects can grow maybe exponentially over time. So ultimately, do I think I could probably help all 14 million people? Yeah, but right now, a lot of those 14 million people are in a dire health situation. They need help right now. Their life is falling apart right now. And I'm only one guy. I can't do this all myself. So I would love for some of you watching to raise your hands and be like, I want to help too. So reach out to me if you're like, you know what, Sterling, I think you know your stuff and I'd like you to help me help other people. If you want that, then just send me a quick message and say, hey, I'm really interested in the practitioner, track that you're talking about, and I would love some help. Now, of course, you can do this all by yourself, but it took me years to get to where I am now, to the degree that I am. And I would not encourage you to try to reinvent the wheel when it comes to the vagus nerve stuff. I'm one of the only games in town. I'm one of the best. So I am offering that as a potential for you. Now, here's how I would recommend that you do that. Actually, I would actually recommend, and what I've seen the best thing is, for you to be able to honestly and effectively recommend vagus nerve stimulation to your own clients. I first would recommend that you go through our phase 1 program as a client yourself. Because here's the fact, and what I know about a lot of practitioners watching is that privately, you may have your own set of health issues currently, and that's okay. There's nothing to be guilty about. You can have an upset to your health that happened because of an infection like COVID, or maybe you were vaccinated and something happened. Lots of reasons can happen to take even someone who takes really good care of their health and to see their health go downwards, right? And so it's okay to admit, like, you know what? Life happens. We're on this big spinning ball of earth material going through space, and we don't always know all the things all the time. So for those who are like practitioners and you want to get back into it, the best thing to do would probably be to go and get coached by me first in vagus nerve stimulation with you as an actual participant in the program. So I'm going to post in the chat here the information on our phase 1 program, which is our initial track we like to send all clients through. And if you are a practitioner yourself and you have some health issues that you're still trying to work with, and you're like, gosh, if I could only get better sleep, if I could only have better digestion, if I could only have a few improvements here, that would make all the difference for me, then I want you to check out the phase 1 program. And as far as learning material, the phase 1 page that I'm posting right now has a wealth of information on how I personally designed our program. So you can go and read that. There's a downloads. There's a link to an ultrasound group specifically, which is really fantastic. We have a private ultrasound vagus nerve stimulation group that is linked in that document, which I encourage you to read. And that's a free group to join too. So you can learn a lot about this stuff before you ever, pull the trigger and join anything. But yeah, honestly, if you want to be trained, the best way to learn this stuff is really, if I'm being totally honest with you, is to probably go through a program yourself first, as if you were learning by doing. You follow me? So, and I know lots of, again, many people here in the chat can attest to how amazing was phase 1, right? Some of you are actively in phase 1 right now. How incredible was it? How beneficial was it? There are multiple people in the chat right now who we've actually seen go from being bedridden and having a really bad vagus nerve set of, their vagus nerves were pretty much shot prior to joining the program, that within a few months, they were like sprung back into action. Some of them are starting businesses within the phase 1 program. So again, if you're a practitioner, you're having some health issues, you want to get started, you want to get some support on your health and learn vagus nerve stimulation, I think in honestly the best way, because look, I could certify people, but if you personally haven't had a deeply personal experience with the magic of vagus nerve stimulation, it's going to show when you're working with clients later on around vagus nerve stimulation, because they're going to want to know, like, what was your personal insight with vagus nerve stimulation for you personally? They're going to want to know that. And I shared my story on day 1 about how I stumbled upon ultrasound vagus nerve stimulation for the very first time, and how it was truly a remarkable experience. Like it was a game changer for me. And that's why I'm able to get on here and talk about the vagus nerve so much, because of my own personal experience with ultrasound and vagus nerve stimulation. So for some of you who are practitioners, again, last call to action here today, I will say, seriously consider just joining our phase 1 track, and we'll get you the support you need to even potentially launch as a vagus nerve company. I've been told I should launch a specific practitioner only training course for a high dollar amount. And I'm like, honestly, I'd rather train someone in their own vagus nerve health and see them take that to the next level themselves, and help them along the way. But we do training all the time with vagus nerve stuff in program. So you will learn the stuff that we're talking about here more in depth. So anyway, I want to put that out there. Hope to see some of you sign up for phase 1. That would be really cool if this video series helped some people make that decision. So yeah. So anyway, in terms of the topic of today, we're talking about day 3, attraction and enrollment. So day 1, we talked about who is out there looking for help. What does that look like specifically? Like, what are the health conditions that crop up where you go, that's a vagus nerve issue? We covered that in day 1. Day 2, we talked about designing the design of an actual program built with vagus nerve stimulation incorporated in it. So how can you build a 3 to 4 month transformational experience for actual real humans to go through, that they get everything they wanted and more out of it at a great price and at a great, return on investment, and something that they're going to enjoy, something that they get to keep, and all that stuff, and something that makes it worthwhile for you. We covered that in day 2 in terms of designing protocols and designing things to use vagus nerve stimulation with. And then today we went over how to talk about the vagus nerve in an appropriate way. I recommend that you do what I did. What I did in the very beginning was every single day I would read one new article or 2 or 3 new articles about vagus nerve stimulation, the science of vagus nerve stimulation, what it does, everything involved. Because, if people want to, certainly everybody watching who's honest will know that I'm not claiming this to be a get-rich-quick scheme. I'd say any kind of practitioner who's being honest is running a get wealthy very slowly program. And the thing that I think could be so powerful for practitioners watching who maybe have some goals around, my goal is for my business to make me $1 million a year, is I would say, rather than think like that, think of what kind of skills do I want to build in my lifetime that could allow me to live the vision for my life that I truly want. I knew that back in 2017, when I had that really incredible experience with VNS, was that this completely aligns with my vision for me and how I want to live my life, which is, again, I feel like I'm partially on this planet to really help other people. And if there's some way, if there's some access point that I can use to help thousands of people by teaching them a little bit about their vagus nerve and changing their whole perspective on their health, giving them empowering tools that help them do so, that's amazing. And that's all for me, all contained within the vagus nerve. So it's for me, finding the vagus nerve was almost too perfect, like too good to be true, honestly. And some of you might be watching like, this all sounds too good to be true. How could this be possible? And I know, I get it. It does seem like that. But, like I like to say or joke around, is I'm not God here. I didn't design your body. I didn't design my body. My mom didn't design my body, right? I was a glimmer in my mom and dad's eyes at some point in the 1980s, shout out to the 1980s babies. But, ultimately the universe designed the form and function of your body. And it just so happens that a lot of the form and the function of crucial organs in your body depends in a large way on the function or dysfunction of your vagus nerve. So I didn't make the rules here. All I did was kind of make an accidental discovery. I literally came across the vagus nerve completely by accident. I wasn't actively searching out some kind of a thing or a program. What I did in 2016, what I was doing before vagus nerve stimulation coaching was designing ultrasound equipment to be used on the brain for research and playing video games on the weekends with my friends, competitive esports and reading books and, going to the weekend raves in San Francisco occasionally. This is all prior to the vagus nerve. So I wasn't actively seeking out the vagus nerve. It seems like it sought me out somehow, right? So again, if you feel called to this, then I encourage you, listen to that call. Because I had it. So in 2016, it was very interesting. In the summer of 2016, I was in Napa Valley, California, where all the wineries are in Northern California. And I was at a friend of a friend of a friend at her house, and she was present there. Betsy is her name. And we had another research scientist there, and we had the ultrasound system there too, one of the ultrasounds that I designed. So kind of a big desktop-sized ultrasound unit that you can program. And he said, it was actually him who said, what if we tried stimulating the vagus nerve with the ultrasound? What would that do? And I said, that's a novel idea. I didn't really think about that. I wasn't thinking of vagus nerve. He's a neuroscientist, so he had less knowledge on developing ultrasound than I did at the time, but he had a lot of information on the human body and anatomy. And he had read about like vagus nerve implants, which I had read about too, but it never really occurred to me, what if we stimulated the vagus nerve with ultrasound? So I said, all right, well, we've got the device here. Let's try it. So I programmed into the dashboard on the ultrasound a certain frequency, a sweep frequency that would sweep through all frequencies of ultrasound up and down in a slow, nice, steady way. And then the whole routine was to put gel on the transducer and actually hold it up to the ear. So it would stimulate right in the concha. So it would just be gently placed right here on the ear. It was doing ear stimulation with ultrasound, not electrical stimulation, but with ultrasound right on the ear, on the left ear. And I went first. I said, how do we find it? Do I have it right? And he's like, yep. So we did it. And I could feel like a stimulation, like somebody was kind of like rubbing a feather against my ear. It was kind of a pleasant feeling, but I was like, okay, well, that's kind of interesting. I didn't expect that. And then I said, okay, well, you try. So he tried it, and he's like, it feels like this like nice tingling vibration is going through my body. I was like, oh, sounds like a much more profound experience than I had. And then we said, Betsy, do you want to try? And she said, yeah, I definitely want to try. So we put the gel on the transducer. I pressed play, and then she held the transducer, the ultrasound, right up to her ear, right up to the concha, and held it there. And she was like, huh, interesting. Wow. Whoa. Oh my goodness. And so you could see her body really shifting, like literally in front of your very eyes. It was very bizarre, It seemed like she was having, a bit of a semi-orgasmic experience. If I'm being as blunt as possible with you, had we let her do that for another few minutes, may have had a full-blown orgasm while standing up. I don't really know. That's for women to figure out, not for me, right? Women are, like I've said, women are more sensitive to vagus nerve stimulation, I think, than men are. That's generally what I've noticed. But men can benefit from vagus nerve stimulation too. But she was like really feeling it that day. And that was in 2016. So I saw it right in front of me. I'm like, it was made clear to me as an observation, the potential bodily autonomic shifting power of ultrasound on the vagus nerve in 2016. But it almost went above my head. And I was like, okay, well, that was interesting. Let's continue to stimulate the brain, which I continued to do for another year. So the vagus nerve was front and center, right in front of me. And I just was like, nah, whatever. Well, that was interesting. I mean, I didn't have an orgasmic experience from it. So it's probably not, there's nothing much to it. I've since learned there's a lot to it. And, but it really took a personal experience. It took me experiencing ultrasound on my own vagus nerve in my own comfortable way at home by myself with an at-home device on my neck while doing Wim Hof breathing to really get that personalized, deeply transformative experience from VNS. That was when it clicked. But it wasn't like that was the first time the vagus nerve had ever popped up into my radar. So again, maybe this will be the first little blip in your consciousness of the potential here. And in a year's time, you'll end up joining our phase 1 program, or we'll have a coaching program for coaches. Who knows? But maybe let this be a little sliver, a little seed of knowledge for you, and let that little seed start to grow and grow and grow over time. And maybe you'll come to the Vegas Nerve world, maybe you won't, but it's all good. It all works out the way it should in the end. But yeah, anyway, hopefully today's video has been helpful. I do want to wrap up the day 3 and set our expectations for tomorrow. So tomorrow, what we're going to be covering is a little bit more in depth into the process of, once people have been enrolled, what does it look like week to week, month to month as a client going through a program? So we're going to break down how we layer our coaching inside of an actual 3 to 4 month program to make sure that each client feels like their needs are being met and that they're making actual real progress from week to week to week. And we do that primarily by focusing on very slow, steady improvements and gains in their function. And also we modulate how much ultrasound, well, we do ultrasound, maybe you do electrical stimulation, but you have to modulate very carefully the degree of stimulation that you do from week to week. You can't just go on from day 1 and go at full power, which a lot of people do make that mistake when they try to do it themselves. That's why I really do believe in the power of practitioner surrounded VNS. It's way better. And I know the difference. I know the difference between what does the care of a person look like with just a device versus a practitioner who knows what they're doing, has a deep skill set and a skill base. Because look, your doctor is not going to be able to do this. The fact of the matter is your doctors won't understand enough about this to be able to help a client or you with your vagus nerve care. If you went to your own primary care doctor and said, "Doctor, I just bought a TENS unit. I'm going to start stimulating my ear," they'd look at you like, "Huh? Are you crazy? Are you nuts? Should we put you in a cuckoo bin?" That's probably going to be the vast majority of your doctor's reactions. So it really takes, again, the opportunity is there. It just takes people who are practitioners who are good at real-time, more naturalistic problem solving than what doctors are typically used to having to do. Which is why I think that combination of VNS and practitioner is so powerful. I think it's game changing. And so now we're at this point where I think that a lot can be done. I think that a lot of good can be done here. So anyway, something to think about. But yes, tomorrow we're going to cover, on day 4 of 5, we're going to cover, once they're in the program, once they said yes and they're signed up and they have a physical device in their hands, what would that look like from that week to week perspective from beginning to the end of their 4 months? We're going to talk about that in depth on day 4. So I hope you can join us for that. Of course, I'm going to post the video for that tomorrow morning. I'll make an announcement, so you'll see it. Make sure you click going so you can see when that happens. And the replay will be available too, just like today. So if you are watching now still and it's on a replay, give me a shout out. #replay squad. Where's my replay squad? I love seeing you guys in the chat and making sure, that I know that you're watching. That's awesome to see. I love kind of keeping track of, who's who and who's where. But yeah, so tomorrow will be like what the client's experience going through a 4-month VNS experience. And we'll expand on that more tomorrow. And also, I think it must be pretty cool being an actual client in our phase 1 program, hearing me explain a bigger picture overview, macro picture of the experience that they've gone through so far. As you know, this is exactly what I do all the time. And so certainly we have the ability to enroll people, which I think is pretty fun. But yeah, so that's going to wrap it up for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to end the video on YouTube. Don't click off yet on Facebook. Just want to get some feedback from you guys, see how you did and what you thought. So thanks so much on YouTube. I'll see you guys soon and take care.